Hey, welcome everybody to our broadcast. We're talking about Pexels today. This is Pexels.com, Pexels.com. This site, we're gonna spend the next 15, 20 minutes talking about what this site is, how to use it, why it exists, and just answer some frequently asked questions about it, so you guys can feel comfortable using it as you're producing content online. One of the biggest issues for my clients when they're creating content, specifically for you guys who need images for a blog, for your social media, for your e-commerce business, for your Instagram, whatever, if you need images, it can sometimes be challenging because so much of the images that are out there online are copyrighted. They're not allowed to be used, right? Somebody else owns the rights. So you can't simply just, if you need a picture of a garden bed or a honeybee or an athlete or a fashion model, you can't just go out onto the internet and just grab any picture you want, right? That could be problematic for you because that could be owned and not allowed to be shared by whoever the copyright owner is. This is where a site like this comes into play. So you can use Pexels and feel confident that everything on their site is okay to be used, not only on a personal level, but on a commercial level. And that distinction is important because there's some images out there that are only allowed to be used for non-profits, whereas this is good to be used for websites and e-commerce businesses and blogs that are designed to make a profit. So I want to tell you a little bit about Pexels. Pexels has been around for a few years now. This was really sort of put together back in 2014, got bigger in 2015, and it continues to get bigger day in and day out. They actually add a lot of images to this. This is kind of like a professional photography database, where you can go search their database, find photos, download them without feeling bad because these are photos that you're able to use. And currently, I think the last count that I'd heard on Pexels is there's somewhere in the neighborhood of around 30,000 images on the site, and they're adding thousands every single month to grow it bigger and bigger and bigger. So, which is great. Now, by comparison, if you were to compare that to, say, this website right here, this is Shutterstock.com. Shutterstock is a very well-known stock photography site. These guys have millions of images, but you have to buy them. So while you may get better options at a paid site, most of you guys don't have the budget to go out there and spend a ton of money on images while you're creating content, and I get that. Maybe at some point you will. I should hope so. But most of you guys, when you're first getting your business off the ground, you're operating a little bit on a budget, and that's okay. All of us have to start somewhere, and Pexels is a good substitute for that. So you just remember, don't get frustrated with Pexels if you're looking for an image that's very specific and you can't find one. Pexels is better for more generic images. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. If I were looking for photos, maybe photos about the beach. So I'm just going to type in the word beach here, and sure enough, I'm going to get decent images for the beach, okay? And I can scroll down, and I could use these. If I'm looking for photos of the mountains, another general keyword search, I'm going to get some pretty good photos of the mountains. Now, what's nice about it is if I like an image here, it's very simple. I can click on it once. It'll load up the entire image. And then I can come over here to this green button on the far right-hand side, this one right here, and I can download it. Just like that. It's easy. Download it, and then I can do what I want with it. I do get the question on occasion, does that mean I can edit the photo? Can I change it in any way? Yes, you can. These photos don't require any permission at all. You can just download them and do what you want with them. That includes editing. The other question I get a lot is, hey, do I have to give credit to the creator of this photo, or do I have to give credit to Pexels when I use this photo on my website? And the answer is no. So truly, there are no strings attached to using these pictures. They're free to use. You don't have to give credit. You can modify. You can use for a commercial business. It's kind of the perfect storm for you guys that are trying to do this on a budget. Okay. So anyway, general pictures work really well. You can get more specific. I'm going to type in the word strawberry. You can find pictures of strawberries. I don't know, fruit trees. You can find pictures of fruit trees, so on and so forth. You can tell what's on my mind right now. I've got agriculture and horticulture on my mind. Okay. What about something very specific, right? Let's say you're writing a blog post about cat mint. Okay. Do any of you guys know what cat mint is? Maybe you've got it in your yard. It's perennial. I know out here in Utah you find it planted all the time. Anybody have that in their yard? It's actually a pretty popular perennial. I'll show you a picture here in just a sec. Let me just tell you something though. If I searched that specifically for cat mint, Pexels is going to say, sorry, no pictures found. Here's some search tips. Okay, in other words, they don't have anything that specific. Now what you're going to notice is look down below here, and this is where some of my clients get confused. Pexels has what are called sponsored photos from a site called Shutterstock, which we just referenced a minute ago. I would imagine this is the main way Pexels makes money. They tout themselves as a free database of images, which they are. But when you do a search for something specific and it's not available in their database, guess what they're doing? They're advertising images that would fill that request from their partner's website, who is Shutterstock.com. As I look down here, I can most certainly see several images of cat mint. It looks a bit like lavender. And you see these images here show that. Okay. If I were to click on one of these, it's actually going to take me out to Shutterstock, and it's going to encourage me to purchase that image. And if you're like a lot of my clients, you don't want to spend $6 or $7 on an image, right? It's too expensive. So you're looking at sort of the downside of using a free photography site like this. It's great from a general standpoint. But if I had a blog and I was writing very specifically about cat mint, I couldn't get an image off of Pexels. And sometimes the feedback I get from clients is, hey, it's great, Trevor, but I can't get the very specific images I need. Well, I hear you on that. So here's your options. Either go take a picture of that cat mint yourself, or bite the bullet and go buy one from Shutterstock. I suppose you could look online for it elsewhere, and if you find it, you could reach out to the owner of the website and ask if they wouldn't mind letting you borrow or use the image on your site. But that's not the most efficient thing in the world. A lot of times you don't hear back from people, and I mean, just because some other website uses it on the internet doesn't mean that it's something that you can use. Long ago, when I didn't really follow a lot of these types of protocols, I had a website where I would just sort of put whatever pictures I found online onto the site. And I would get people all the time that would email me and say, hey, Trevor, do you mind if I use this image? Can I get your permission? And it's like, shoot, I should have gotten permission, right? And you can get in trouble for things like that. So if you're going to take the blogging side of your business seriously, if you need to share things on, Facebook or Instagram or any other social media, and you want to do it the right way, make sure you do unlicensed photos that aren't going to cause you problems from a copyright standpoint. And I think Pexels overall does a really good job of that. Now, in terms of editing the photos, real quick, let me go back to Pexels for just a minute. Let's grab this photo right here. It's a picture of an apple tree. You'll notice the picture's pretty good size. I can click free download, and it's going to automatically just download this here to my computer. It's taking just a second, but I promise you it's going to download. Okay, so there we go. There's the larger image. I can right-click and hit Save As on this. I can save the picture that way, which I just did. Okay. So I saved it. By the way, you might see this on occasion. This is another little ad from Pexels. It says, want more photos than available on Pexels. And then they try to market to you graphic stock, where you can get a free trial to use their stuff. So just, I mean, watch out for that stuff. Some of you guys are like, hey, why am I getting advertised to? Well, that's how Pexels makes money. They are free, but they're also in the business of making a profit elsewhere. So they've got some affiliates they work with. So keep that in mind. So I downloaded that image, and then, you know, if I need to adjust the size or whatever, it's actually pretty easy to do, depending on what you need it for. I can go in here to Pixlr, pixlr.com, much like Pexels. This is called Pixlr, pixlr.com. I'm going to go here to their, I just scroll down off of their homepage here to their Pixlr editor. I'm going to click Launch Web App, and then I can come in here and actually do some photo editing. I can do open image from my computer, and where I had saved this Apple image, I can open it up, and there it is. It's actually a pretty good sized image. I know this is really small, but I'm going to highlight this anyway. Right down there at the bottom left-hand side, it's 2,272 by 1,700 pixels. It's a big photo for sure. And I may not want such a big photo. So what I can do here inside Pixlr is I can go to Image and then Image Size, and I can bring this down to something a little more manageable, you know, 450 by 338, and hit OK. And that would be much better. Now, I know that looks really small, but that's only because this isn't showing 100%. This, I don't know if you see this over here very well. I'm going to circle it with my red pen here at the far right-hand side of the screen. This right here is the bar that makes it bigger or smaller as a percentage. So this is 100%. This is the true size of the image at 450 by 338. If I do it higher than this, this is 200% zoomed in. It pixelates it a little bit. Notice how it's getting worse and worse and worse. That's very pixelated at 800%. Just make sure if you want to see it the way it is, it's at 100 right here. Okay, make sure you scroll down. So that's the size of it. Maybe I'm real happy with that. I'm thinking, okay, I'm writing a blog post about how to care for an apple tree. This is perfect. I'm going to go ahead and use this in my content. This is a good size. It's not too big. Great. I can save this, which is real easy to do here in Pixlr. I'm going to come over here at the top left-hand side and hit File and then Save, and then boom, I save it to my computer, and I can use that in my content. So, you know, you can, again, legally, you can edit, manipulate these. I could even write some text over this if I wanted, or do some more fancy stuff here in Pixlr. I won't do that just for the sake of time in our discussion today, but hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Now, there are other free photography sites out there. That's sort of beyond the scope of what I want to talk about today. There's one called freeimages.com, which is good. You can actually filter on Google Images to see Creative Commons images that are, you know, open and free to use for commercial sites. I cover that in more detail on another training. As of now, I just want to cover Pexels and make sure you guys understand how to use that. So are there any questions from those of you guys who are here live with me right now on Pexels? So if there are, please ask away. For the sake of the recording, I'm just going to go ahead and turn it off and wish you guys all the best that are watching this recorded. Use Pexels. It's great. I recommend it highly, and you can sleep better at night knowing that you're using images that won't get you in any trouble. Okay? Thanks for coming along.